Hey guys, this is Chai Moondragon. Sorry, I had to do a little bit of a do-over there. But, I had gotten a request by a friend of mine who watches my videos. I role play with him every day on IMVU. Sometimes he's on, sometimes he's not on. But he had asked me if I had ever thought about making a how-to training video of breeding mice for, you know, your snake or your lizard or whatever. And I said, yeah, I've been considering it, and not gonna lie, I can't say no to the guy. He's really nice. So if you notice behind me, this is our rat cage. We're not going to be talking too much about them in this video because I haven't had any success yet, and I don't even know if my two females in there are even pregnant. But we might talk a little bit. Right now, we're going to talk about housing. Now, those cages, the top one with the green, that actually is for mice. Now, the problem with that is that you want to read carefully that the cage is for a mouse. The other thing that take into consideration are that mice can come in different sizes. What do I mean by that? Well, even though it's a mouse, you can get some mice that are real skinny and some mice that are real big. Now, I've got one female here I'm going to show you for a good size to look for. But take into consideration she might be pregnant, so she might look a little bigger than what she's supposed to be. So let me see if I can get her out real quick and show you what you're looking for. Okay, so this is a good size female to have. And as you can see, she is very much pregnant. But this is the size that you generally want to look for. You know, as long as it's around this size, you're good. You won't have a problem. Now, thank you. I have had problems where I have gotten a small female and a big male. The problem is when their offspring grow up, they're usually smaller, maybe a hair bigger. Why is that a problem? The bars. I've had issues where they've slipped through bars, so what I've tried to do, and it's not very successful, but I'm going to show you guys anyway, I put them in these big 18-gallon tubs. And then the cages are inside, and if they get out, I'll put another tub on top of that. Well, what happens is they're very smart. They'll get on the edges of the tub here, and they'll jump off. And I don't know how these mice survive in my house when I've got one dog and 3 cats. But I had to set live traps, and I'm telling you guys, there's nothing worse than a mouse loose in your house. Doesn't matter if it's a male or female. It is a very bad thing. Especially if it's one of your, your top breeding females. And that's what I'm going to next discuss. We're going to talk about what I refer to as my top breeding males. With mice, they produce rather quickly. So if you want to start doing something like this, you can go to your local pet store, like a PetSmart, Petco, look at the small mammals, pick the biggest male you can. The biggest girth size, get him, say, I want him. And I like to generally start off with about 3 good-sized females. Same thing. You say, I want the 3 biggest females you've got. Then what you're going to do, obviously you have to keep them separated. You want 1 cage for your female. You want 1 cage for your male. And you want 1 cage as what I call the birthing and breeding cage. So what that means is you put your male in there and you pick your female you want to breed with him. Leave them in there for several months. It shouldn't take too long. Once you start, as you saw before, she was pretty big, so she's more or less going to have a litter. Once you start to see your female mouse kind of swelling up like a golf ball, she's pregnant. Now, once you do that, you put the male back into his male cage. This is where it's important. before you leave her unattended to do her business, you have to thoroughly clean that cage. That means you have to put her somewhere. You can put her with other females. It's not a problem. They're not going to hurt her. Put her in with the other females. Clean the cage thoroughly. Take out all the bedding. Run it in the bathtub or in the sink if you have to. Get it nice and clean. Once it's clean, fill it with fresh bedding. I'm going to explain why this is important. Once that's set up, you've got, fresh food in there, fresh water. Get your female and put her in there. The reason it's important, if she gives birth and she smells other mice in that cage, even if there's none in there, she will kill and eat her offspring. I've had this happen to me twice. The first time I made that mistake and I learned from it. The second time it happened, I felt that the female might have been stressed out. It was her first litter. She didn't have a lot. She only had about 5. So I felt, well, maybe she got stressed out. Maybe she didn't have enough protein, even though she had lots of food. And that's the other thing I'm going to discuss. I buy all sorts of different food for them. I've actually been known. This is actually for birds, technically, but it's high in protein, so it's really good for your nursing females. Now, if you notice, I have a cage behind me here, and I'm actually going to swing over and show this to you because you're going to be like, well, what's this all about? Well, let me show you. I had an issue where several of my mice, no matter how much I tried, they were getting out and they were getting in the house. And I had to figure out, well, I've tried everything. I've put them in the tubs. It's not working. I've put stuff on top of the tubs. I've put tubs on top of tubs. I've tried to seal. Nothing was working. Until I remembered glass. This is a small aquarium. As you can see, it's not very big. I have a female in there right now, and she's nursing several little babies right now. They're not big enough for me to feed to any of my reptiles. They're what you would call the fuzzies at this point. Their eyes are open, they're walking around, but they're not quite there ready. Now, what I did with this one is I had to get creative with the water bottle because, as you know, not a lot of water bottles anymore come with suction cups. So I'm going to take out her water for a minute. I'm going to show you exactly what I did. Since the goat is being so well behaved of himself right now. So, thanks guys for being patient. I haven't done a video like this before. Okay, so with her water bottle, there was no way it was going to attach because all these pet water bottles, at least some of them, you have to hook them. Well, I went to my local Meijer's and I found one that you would clamp on the metal and then you just stretch it. So what I did, I hooked them together just like that. And then I went into the hardware department and I found those little hooks. And what I did is I hooked it or suction cupped it on the side of the tank. Now, mine's been staying up for several months now, so that's pretty good. Sometimes they might fall, so that's why, you're only spending like, maybe $3, $4 on these things, and you get a buttload of them, so it's not really that big of a deal. The one thing I do need to address is a mouse's pregnancy, because I'm pretty sure everyone's like, well, you mentioned about the breeding. You didn't mention about that. But before I do that, I'm just going to add with the water bottle what I did. I don't think it'll pick up on camera, but I actually have a hook here and a hook down here. So I have these two hooks. So what happens is the base of the water bottle rests on one of the hooks so it doesn't like get overweighted and it slips down. I've had pretty good success with this so far. But as I said, this was just an experiment to see if I could do it, and I could do it. But it makes it real simple and easy. And then I've got the clamps down, so, because believe it or not, mice do like to climb. So that's why it's important to do that kind of thing. I did this all backwards. I am so sorry, guys. As I said, this is my first time making an actual how-to training video on all this. But, you know, I found a system that works. And, yes, guys, this is going to be a long video. Make sure I put the clamps down because I don't want a problem. So, the next thing we're going to talk about is a mouse's pregnancy. The pregnancy is not that long. It's actually only 21 days. You know, and that is from when you started breeding them. Now, it is very important that your female has a lot of food. Even if you got to go to the store and buy some, you know, like maybe apples or strawberries for yourself, chop some of those up and put it in with her. She might like it. She might not like it. I've been experimenting with that as well. The other thing that is important to remember, once and I don't think any of them are going to come out. They're still, all the babies still like to hang out back here, so I don't think any of them come out. But the most important thing to remember, guys, is you're going to want to separate the offspring when they start getting bigger. And when you start seeing like testicles drop, especially on the young males, you're going to want to separate the males. Do not put them with their father. He will fight and kill them. You want to have them in a separate cage by themselves. The females can go with females. That's why I have this tank. This is for my females. The other thing I need to address is food. When you have multiple mice in one enclosure, you need to have a lot of food. If you do not have a lot of food, they will turn on each other and they will go cannibal. Yeah, they will I actually learned that the hard way. 2 of my top breeding females were actually killed and eaten by the group. So that's important. Down the line, I might switch this up with a bigger tank. When the boa gets too big for his one tank, I might use that, and that's off to the side. Now, what we will do, we will talk about the rats real quick, because I know some people have larger snakes that need to eat rats. I've looked it up, and the rat pregnancy is a little different. It's not 21 days. It can be 22 to, what did it say? It said it can be like to 22, 23 days, but a delayed pregnancy can be up as 25 days. Now, I've got 2 females in there, and I've got 1 male. He's albino. So I've had him in there with these 2 girls. I've separated them to give, so it's not so stressful, because he'll chase them all around, and that'll make a mess. So if you guys are planning to do this, just know that rats generally do like to dig at times, so you'll see that there's like debris around their enclosure. So if you have a bagless vacuum, that's the best thing for it. You know, I'm not gonna lie, when that thing gets real dirty, I get my bagless vacuum, I turn it on, and I just suck all that stuff up. Done deal. I've had no success with the rats yet, as I said before. I've had a lot of success with the mice. I've only had 2 litters that failed on me. My largest litter, believe it or not, was 15, and they all made it. Another thing to do if you're like, I don't think I can do this. Words of advice, I don't call them mice or rats. I call them inventory. I don't say that I'm going to feed, I just say execution. I'm kind of old school. But the good thing, the benefits of breeding at home, you know what the condition is of the animal. You know how much food it's eating. You can physically see its weight. And you can then decide, okay, I want to keep this one for my next breeding. I want to get rid of this one. That's another thing I forgot to address. I really recommend that you have at least 2 to 3 females that you're going to breed. This is why I say you might need to make trips to the store until your inventory can climb up. But you don't want to rebreed the same female right after she just got done. It's too stressful, and you don't want to stress them out. That's why I recommend getting a different color male, maybe several different color females, and do it that way. Or find a way that you can figure which one's going to be bred. I just got lucky that, well, it wasn't lucky. It was kind of stupid. I had quite a bit of females before I went down to 2, but I had a male in there, and I was like, you know what, just have at it. I don't care. Just have at it. Whatever happens, happens. You know, whoever gets pregnant does. I might have fed one that might have, my last group of females, a lot of them were too small. I mean, heck, my little boa here, he ate like 2 of them just to equal 1. But I'm hoping this video was helpful. It is my first. I'm not that good of what might work. Your layout might have to be different than mine. But I will say try to make it as safe as possible so that the mouse doesn't get out. Rats are usually very easy to house because they're big. They don't slip through a lot of things. But it's the mice you have to really, really, really worry about. Because if that, especially if you got a female, you don't know if she's pregnant or not, she gets out, you're in trouble. You're in a lot of trouble. Anyway, as I said before, I hope this video was helpful. I hope it answered any questions that people might have been asking as they were watching along. I will do another one if someone says, well, can you teach us about the rats when they have them? Can you give us some pointers? I'll do that if I get enough successful litters. Other than that, I've seen the run time on here, so I'm going to say my goodbyes. This is Chihaya Moondragon, and as always, guys, I will see you in the next anime. Bye-bye.